Cali Audio just sent me their brand new headphones to check out, and on paper, they have a lot of potential. Retailing at only $199, they're designed to bridge the gap for audio professionals and casual consumers alike. They do that with their closed-back design, optional wired connectivity, and built-in DSP that allows you to switch between 3 listening modes, each with their own unique tonal balance that offers a different vantage point of whatever you're listening to. But the HP-1s also integrate modern features like wireless Bluetooth connectivity, active noise cancellation, built-in playback controls, and an integrated microphone. Cali Audio has always been a reputable speaker brand that makes great sounding products at an affordable price. But does that translate to their first ever pair of headphones? Well, after using them myself for about 40 hours across recording, mixing, mastering, and casual listening situations, I'll be sharing my experience with these headphones so far, covering how they sound and perform, and giving you my honest thoughts on who should check these out. And even though Cali Audio sent me this pair for free, they've given me the blessing to give my 100% honest thoughts, including a few things to consider before you check them out yourself. And to make this review even more valuable, Cali Audio and I have partnered up to give one of you watching a pair for free. So make sure you watch this video all the way through, as I'll discuss how to enter that giveaway towards the end. But first, let's chat about how these headphones look and feel. And afterwards, we can explore the really important question, which is how do they sound? Now, the moment I took the headphones out of their case, I was surprised by how light they felt. At under half a pound, they're noticeably lighter than other headphones I've used, like my Shure SRH 840s, which seem to be at least twice as heavy. When putting the HP-1s on, the left and right headphones are clearly labeled, and you can adjust the fit by sliding the ear cups up or down so they sit better on your head. The headphones' ear cups can also swivel 90 degrees in one direction. This makes resting them on your neck when not in use more comfortable, or packing them away easier in general. The overall look and aesthetic is sleek and professional, but without being too technical looking either. Their lightweight, adjustability, and soft padding definitely make them more comfortable to wear over longer play times in comparison to other headphones that I've used. I would usually wear them for 2 to 3 hours at a time without issue, whereas other headphones I'd start to feel some discomfort even after just 1 hour. In terms of connectivity, you can use the HP-1s wirelessly via Bluetooth, or you can plug them in for a physical wired connection with the included 1/8" cable and 1/4" adapter. When mixing and mastering, I use the wired connection, as that's better in situations where maximizing audio quality and minimizing latency are the top priorities. Otherwise, in casual situations, I'd rely on Bluetooth for convenience sake alone. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the HP-1s use built-in digital signal processing for features like their 3 tuning modes and active noise cancellation, but unfortunately that comes with a catch. And the first is the power reliance on its battery. These headphones always need to have a charged battery to work, regardless of whether you're using them wired or wirelessly. With a full charge, you have up to 40 hours of battery life. And honestly, it took me a while to fully drain the battery on these, since I'd only use them for a few hours and then plug them in right away when not in use. But even if you're a heavy user coming off of a dead battery, these charge pretty quickly with its included USB-C charger. It takes about 2 hours to go from a 0% to a 100% charge. But in a pinch, even a quick 10 or 15 minute charge during a bathroom break can give you a sufficient amount of juice to power through a multi-hour session. Now, the other trade-off is latency. Cali Audio lets you know up front that the built-in DSP produces 17 milliseconds of latency, which is not bypassable, meaning it's always there regardless of if you're using a wired or wireless connection. And I'm not gonna lie, I was initially really concerned about this. Even though this amount of latency is really low, it could still pose a problem for situations where timing is critical, such as recording, for example. But after using the headphones with a wired connection for recording myself, I didn't experience any noticeable issues that made performing on time difficult. It was honestly no different than if I was using any of my other pairs of wired headphones. Assuming this latency is really there, as Cali Audio states, it was really subtle and pretty much unnoticeable in my use cases so far. Now, in terms of playback controls, the HP-1s have several integrated directly onto the headphones, including volume up and down buttons, which also double as a forward and previous skip track control. When you're connected to your phone, you can accept and end calls by tapping the power button and chat with the built-in microphone. Something else that I really appreciated was that Cali Audio includes a soft shell carrying case with the headphones, which is sturdy and durable enough to protect them from damage when traveling or just storing them in general. The inclusion of this case alone is a nice touch over other pro audio headphones I've bought previously, which usually only included a dust bag that offered no protection at all. But beyond first impressions, sound quality is what creates a lasting impression and really helps decide if these headphones are worth it or not. And to effectively evaluate the sound of the HP-1s, we actually need to take a look at 3 key areas. The first is the design of the headphones. The HP-1s use 40mm drivers, which is an industry standard size for many over-ear pro audio and consumer headphones. This driver size is also also much bigger than the tiny ones you'll find in consumer earbuds like AirPods, which is what most listeners are using today. That means the HP-1s are much more detailed and revealing in comparison. In fact, I was listening to a song the other day on these and realized there was a sub-bass playing that I couldn't even hear when listening on AirPods. These 40mm drivers are then paired with a closed-back design, which means the ear cups keep your sound in and ambient noise out, and vice versa. For recording, that's a big deal. Not just for creating a vibe, but also because they prevent bleed from escaping the headphones and being picked up on the microphone. In fact, check out this demo recording I did using the HP-1s with the volume cranked much louder than you normally would when recording. Can you hear the beat playing? I don't really know what the hell I'm saying. I'm just trying to freestyle so people can hear in the meanwhile what's going on in the BG. While you might hear a faint trace of the music if you listen closely when I stop performing specifically, the HP-1s do an excellent job of isolating the sound and preventing it from ruining your recordings. So when it comes to recording, latency concerns aside, we know that these can be a great option. But what about for mixing? Many mixers prefer open back headphones because they allow sound to escape, creating a more natural open soundstage that lends itself well to mixing specifically. But for me, that's a problem. Between Piper barking in the background, my fiance watching TV in the next room, or just the general noise of a busy household while I'm trying to work, I know that I wouldn't get the most out of them personally. And that's why the closed back design of the HP-1s is so great. It provides that essential isolation that I need to stay locked into my sound and focused on the task at hand without distractions from the outside world. The other benefit is it isolates you into your own immersive listening experience that doesn't interfere with others. I know my fiance is thankful for that because she has to listen to me cue an 808 loop in solo mode for 20 minutes from another room if I'm not using these. Now, the HP-1s take isolation a step further with their built-in active noise cancellation, which gives you an extra layer of protection from external ambience interference. I'm looking at you, Piper. This function essentially generates a sound wave that's perfectly out of phase with noise taking place around you to cancel it out altogether. This can be helpful for a musician, producer, or engineer like me who needs to focus on a track in sometimes noisier environments, especially when working on the run or in shared spaces. This also extends into casual listening, helpful when trying to concentrate on an enemy's footsteps while playing team deathmatch, or trying to block out the noise of a crowd during a busy commute on public transit. However, it's worth noting that active noise cancellation like this can sometimes alter the frequency response and introduce phase changes to the material that you're hearing. While it's great for everyday casual use where 100% accuracy isn't always the biggest deal, for mixing you may or may not want to use this mode as it may change the sound that you're hearing from its original state and alter the perception of your mix at the same time. Either way, you have the option to enable or disable this by simply pressing the active noise cancellation button on the left headphone. Now, the second point we need to consider is the HP-1's frequency response. These headphones output from 18 Hz to 22 kHz, which is very wide, wider than many consumer headphones such as Beats and AirPods, while also still being competitive with most pro audio headphones out there. With the bass response going as low as 18 Hz, it allows you to accurately hear and judge deep bass frequencies, which is crucial for bass-heavy genres like hip-hop and EDM, which I'm usually working on. I can't exactly feel these frequencies like I would if I was playing music off speakers in an open room and being hit with their vibrations, but I could still accurately perceive their impact and presence within this lower range. In fact, I was really impressed with the low-end presence of everything I was listening to, whether it was my own mixes or something I was streaming off Spotify. The low end appeared deeper, fuller, and more powerful than I thought it would. At the same time, this lower frequency representation was revealing, helping me better understand if kicks, basses, and other low-frequency sounds actually had enough low-end presence when referencing other industry tracks. With the high end extending up to 22 kHz, these headphones also reproduce all of the subtle harmonics and air in the top end. Although human hearing is limited to 20 kHz, this extended range is helpful because frequencies just beyond our hearing can still influence the overall perception of the audible frequency range. Overall, I found that the HP-1s provide a balanced, detailed, and full representation of my audio across the entire frequency spectrum. But then the HP-1s take things a step further with the third important factor in their sound, which is their 3 unique tuning modes. As a consumer, having access to 3 different modes simply gives you more options when it comes to enjoying your audio and whichever one sounds best to you. But as a mixer, these modes actually have a lot more utility, providing different reference points to make critical decisions and better understand how your mix is going to translate for the end listener. These 3 modes are studio, consumer, and bass heavy. By double pressing the power button, you can change the headphone tuning between these modes quickly and easily. You'll also hear a voice announcement when you change modes, letting you know which one you're going into. And if you missed it, you can visually see which mode you're in via the light on the back, with blue corresponding to studio mode, white for consumer mode, and red for bass heavy mode. In terms of what each one sounds like, first, there's studio mode, which provides transparent and accurate tuning. I describe it as the most open, flat, and neutral sounding of the three modes. There's a real clarity here that gives you a detailed representation of your audio, providing a balanced sound but without being biased in any direction. I especially notice this flatter sound when I switch out of this mode and into the other two, which are the opposite. Consumer mode, according to Cali Audio, was designed to mimic the sound of headphones sold alongside smartphones and tablets. While I'm not sure exactly what's happening tonally, it sounds to me that consumer mode is enhancing various parts of the frequency range from low to high, producing a punchier lower mid sound and a bit more of an airy sound in the top end. Finally, there's bass heavy mode, which, as the name suggests, emphasizes the low end. Jumping into this mode produces an even richer, fuller, deeper bass and mid-bass frequency range specifically. The tonality and presence of the low end comes up quite a bit. And while it sounds really pleasing, it's not necessarily the best vantage point for mixing a song in. However, it's definitely great for referencing, producing, and just enjoying audio where the stakes are much lower. So that's what the modes do, but the big question is, how do they actually help you achieve better mix translation across devices? Let me walk you through my workflow when using them to answer that. I always start in studio mode, where I make the bulk of my main mixing and mastering decisions since it's the most neutral, flat, and accurate sounding of the three. I find the choices that I make in this mode seem to translate pretty well across devices, with some nuance of course. As I get towards the later stages of my first mix, I'll switch into the bass heavy and consumer modes to see if anything stands out when the frequency response is more hyped. For example, in bass heavy mode, I still want my low end to be clear and balanced despite having that bigger bass sound. If it starts to sound muddy or excessively boomy, I may decide to make some changes to adjust the presence of my low end as a whole. I find that this insight has helped me optimize mixes for bass boosted systems in particular. Not only hyped headphones, but even into the car where most people crank their bass EQ up. I'll also switch into consumer mode to check for harshness in the mids and highs since this mode is airier than the others. This is my quick reality check to hear if the vocals and higher end percussion will become piercing or overly present. If these harshness problems pop up, I know to make some changes to optimize for this style of listening device. Now when I'm using the HP-1s for listening to music around the house or when gaming, I'll usually use the bass heavy mode since I genuinely prefer that hype sound and since accuracy isn't really my biggest concern when listening casually. Consumer mode also comes in handy when watching videos and listening to podcasts or audiobooks as well, where I don't need the hyped low end of bass heavy mode, but I also don't need the pristine accuracy of studio mode. Overall, having access to these three tuning modes makes the HP-1s a lot more versatile and useful than other headphone options out there. Instead of having just one sound, you get three. So after using these myself for about 40 hours across recording, mixing, mastering, and general listening enjoyment, let's talk about my final thoughts on the HP-1s and who I think they're best suited for. While other headphones may have an advantage in one specific area, like open back headphones for mixing for example, the overall versatility of the HP-1s makes them more useful to me personally. I'm not just using them to mix, but also to chat on the phone or game with my boys, adding even more flexibility that I don't get elsewhere. I love that I could just put them on and effortlessly connect to whatever I'm using wirelessly with Bluetooth. But when audio quality is a big concern, I could still use the physical wired connection to make sure that I'm not missing out on anything. Their lightweight and compact design makes them comfortable to wear for longer durations, and combined with the included soft shell case, also makes them easier to travel with too. I find myself reaching for these headphones more and more over my tried and true Shure SRH 840s for mixing specifically because they look, feel, and function better and offer more sonic versatility in comparison. Not to mention having multiple reference points that sound great has been really useful to me as a mixer. They seem to be giving me an honest representation of my audio that I can rely on to make better mixing decisions, even revealing a few issues I was having on tracks that I was in progress on before receiving them. Like all audio gear, there are definitely trade-offs to be made depending on your planned use case, and hopefully you know what to look out for when it comes to their design, comfort, performance, and portability, as well as a few caveats related to latency and its battery reliance. But if you're a professional looking for a versatile set of headphones for your studio and everyday listening, or you're just a casual audiophile who wants better sound quality and more flexibility over other consumer options out there, then the HP-1s are definitely worth checking out. For $199, I think these are a great value for what you're getting, and most other online reviews seem to agree. It's of course hard to judge us by watching this video alone. You really got to get your hands on them and hear them for yourself. That's why I'm going to leave a link to them on Sweetwater down below, where you can take advantage of their no-hassle return policy. With it, you can order a pair, try them out, and if you don't like them for any reason whatsoever, simply return them and get your money back. But maybe you don't need to do that because you're going to be the lucky viewer that gets to win a pair of these for free. So let's talk about the giveaway that Kali Audio and I have partnered up on before we wrap this video up. For your chance to win a pair, head to the link down in the description and pinned comment below. The full contest rules, eligibility, and the official entry form are all on that page, so please review that thoroughly before you proceed. I'm wishing everybody who enters the best of luck, and I'm really excited for you to hear these on your own if you are the lucky winner, or if you just decide to buy them separately on your own. I'm sure in both situations you're not going to be disappointed. But while you're here, let me know in the comments below what you'd be using these headphones for most if you win. If you want to see another video I did about Kali Audio's IN8 3-way monitors and how they've helped me mix better personally, I'll leave a video all about that on screen for you to watch next. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to see more content like this, and more important, more giveaways like this in the future. Looking forward to seeing y'all again on the next one. Peace.
5